Welcome back to another episode of the Gabe and Shey Podcast. I am Shey.
You know, when you said that, you go, the Gabe and Shey Podcast to you. You said Gabe and Shey as in you were Gabe. Yeah, she didn't just confuse me at all.
Well, I was already confused, so welcome. Who are you?
Hey, I'm Shey, apparently today, and welcome to the Gabe and Shey Podcast, episode 6.
Yeah.
Episode 6. We've done 6 of these. We've done 5 of these. Thank you.
See, I keep correcting.
If I didn't have her, I don't know what I'd do. I'd probably be really stupid.
Remember that whole thing about how we're working on things, but we fail.
No. We do things perfectly. We are perfect, by the way, in case you guys didn't know. So going off of, last week we talked about stimulus versus response and the gap. We talked about the gap between stimulus and response and how you might be able to achieve that. And the original place that Shey and I kind of heard that, I guess it's maybe not the original, but the one where it actually clicked was Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Yep. I actually remember going through something like this and paradigm shifts way back in the day when I was working for a factory. They did a short little presentation on something like this. And for whatever reason, that's popping in my head right now.
Okay.
Anyways, random thought that I didn't need to acknowledge, but I did.
In Action Coach, we call those BFOs.
I don't know. Oh, when I learned it again, it was the BFO.
That's right. when you learned it, the time that it actually stuck.
Yeah. The blinding flash of the obvious. You always had it in your brain. It was always there. You might have heard it 100 times, but for whatever reason, today it clicked. That's a BFO. That's what we call BFO. It's a BFO. Mm-hmm. All right. Today we're going to talk about a very hot topic. And this one is one of my favorites.
Yes, this subject is very near and dear to Gabe's heart.
Very near and dear because honestly, it saved my life. It 100% saved my life. And I've been on both the Jedi side and the Sith side of this, okay? So if you guys don't know what that means, I'm sorry, but I've been on both the Jedi and the Sith side. I am now a Jedi. I used to be a Sith, and this is what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about habits. Habits. You know, when you hear the word habit, what does that make you think of?
Well, now or back then?
Well, I don't know. How about back then? What did you think of it back then? What did you think when you heard the word habit?
It's like one of those words like discipline. You know, it feels like a very boring word.
Okay.
It feels like one of those words that you're like, oh, do we have to talk about habits type of thing?
Yeah.
That's how I felt about it back then.
Yeah. And I think that a lot of people might even have a negative connotation towards it because habit, you think of bad habits, right? Mm-hmm. If you're going off of media doesn't talk about good habits. It's just not something that's just out there all the time. But they sure do talk about bad habits like drinking, smoking, gambling, drug addicts, things like that. These are all bad habits. And so we tend to connect the word bad to habits. And habits is 100% neutral. It does not have good or bad. Mm-hmm. It means automation, okay? It means specifically subconscious automation, right? Out of the brain. And so
default kind of.
Default.
What's your default? Those are your habits.
I like that. Your default. Default brain maybe.
Right.
So habits are formed over time, right? There's no habit that was formed overnight. And one of the ways it was described to me once was like a cable. The more you thread a cable, the stronger it gets. And as you keep adding threads to this cable, it gets thicker and thicker and thicker until nothing is going to cut this thing. Nothing is going to break it, right? And habits are formed by references and beliefs, right? Beliefs create habits. Beliefs about who you are, beliefs about what you think, beliefs about reality, all of those things create habits. Mm-hmm. And in this particular case, we don't want to get into beliefs or anything like that. We just want to talk about habits today. So give me an example of, or actually, you know what, to the audience, what bad habits do you currently have in your life? What bad habits do you currently have in your life? And if you were to answer that question today, Shey, what?
Two immediately come to mind.
What is it? What are they? If you don't mind.
Being late.
Being late. Okay.
Unfortunately, it's something that I am working on harder these days than I ever have before in my life.
I love it.
And procrastinating.
Good old procrastination.
I like to wait until that little tiny itty bitty squeaky lizard in the closet is a massive roaring dragon.
Yeah.
Before I do anything about it.
Yeah, because then you don't have to be scared anymore because you're just going to die. It's going to kill you, right? It's just going to come out of the closet and eat you. Yeah.
We sound so random right now, but it's, the procrastination.
Okay.
Instead of just addressing it right in the moment, right when it could get done in just a few minutes, maybe if it's even more complicated than that, but rather than waiting until now it's been weighing on you for minutes or months or years or whatever,
Yeah, those are two actually
horrible habits.
Yeah, those are good, bad habits. And working on a bad habit. So just for some context here, for those who know me or don't know me, I smoked cigarettes for 19 years. Okay. I started when I was 21 and there was no real good reason why I started either.
Same.
It was peer pressure, but not even really peer pressure. There was no pressure to start smoking. I was and if you knew my childhood, I hated smokers. Absolutely hated smokers. Dang it, rebellious teens. Because that's what happens, right? We get out and we're like, maybe it wasn't so bad, whatever. That started a long life bad habit. And they say that smoking, specifically smoking, because there was a lot, smoking is one of the hardest habits to break.
That's what they say.
That's what they say. That is 100% correct. And I'm smiling at her because her and I have an inside joke on this, because they say that because they know that by saying it's hard over and over and over and over again, chances are people aren't going to want to do it.
You'll believe it. You'll believe that it's too hard.
You're going to believe that it's too hard, right? Mm-hmm. And I will tell you right now that escaping smoking was the easiest thing I've ever done. And most people wouldn't believe me, especially smokers, right?
Well, when you say that, it kind of skips past all of the work that led up to actually stopping. So it may have been easy then because you had spent this time preparing.
Yeah. Right? And she's right. There was some preparation. However, to me, it wasn't that hard to do what I did. And I'm going to tell you what I did here in just a few minutes. So stay tuned. So when I did stop, it literally became easy. I had no withdrawals. And if I did have withdrawals, my brain ignored them. Okay. My brain didn't even know that they existed. This is some of the tricks of subconscious training that you can learn. Okay. This goes with any habit. With any habit that you're trying to escape, it'll work for every single one of those habits. And I've been a drug addict. I've been a smoking addict, an alcohol addict, a food addict. What else is there? Is there more? There's got to be more.
Ego addict.
She's right on that one. I used to be an ego addict. She's not wrong. That was something I wanted to feel most powerful, right? The most in control. So all of these major addictions, okay? And no longer, none of them, right? And to me, it was understanding habit. You remember the very first thing we talked about learning was human behavior, understanding human behavior. People hear about habits, but how many people actually go in and study habits? How many people actually go grab a book and be like, I want to know really why I gamble. I want to know really why one more ding, 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 ding. Why does that promote me to just fall out of my head and just pop another quarter in or pop another dollar in or whatever slots are today?
It's funny. How many people actually go in and study human behavior?
Yeah.
So probably not many, but guess what?
No.
I'm suddenly recognizing that I was a person who started studying animal behavior.
Yeah, absolutely.
Before I started studying
She's a puppy mom.
Human behavior. And there were a lot of correlations, but it never occurred to me to look inside myself at some of those same human habits, not the dog habits, but there are a lot of correlations between human and animal behavior. We are animals at heart. And that's interesting because I think a lot of people would be like, well, I do study habits. I do study why I do the things, but maybe they.
Can you give me an example of someone who thinks that and does that? Because I can't.
Way to call me out. No, I don't have. I'm not going to name names. I respect people's confidentiality.
Yeah. No, you don't. I don't need to tell you what my actual thoughts or why.
I don't name my references.
Yeah. Okay.
Anymore.
So the truth is that most people don't study habits. And I encourage you to study habits. We're going to talk about investing at a certain point, and I'm going to blow your mind about the number one investment that's going to make you the most money on the planet. Okay. That's going to be coming.
Oh, way to leave a cliffhanger.
Oh, it doesn't matter. You got to stay tuned. This is all about learning, right? And so I challenge you to go out and learn about habits. If you've got a bad habit now, okay, don't worry about crushing your habit. Let your bad habit continue, okay, whatever it is, but get your ass to the store or to Audible or to Kindle or to something.
Or to the internet.
I'm
just saying, you can learn a lot.
Careful with the internet. Careful with the old chat GPT, okay? Because, you might get some misinformation there, but the goal here isn't to bust your habit. The goal is to learn about habits. Okay. Yep. Because it starts there. Because what's going to happen is you're going to start to create new references from your learning, from your education about habits that you're now going to be able to apply to your life today, to the habit that you've got now. And you didn't have those references before. Yep. You just knew it was hard. I can't stop. Or even better, oh, no. I do it because I love it. Mm-hmm. Sure, pal. Whatever you say, or I do it because it's making me a bunch of money, says the gambling addict, right? Maybe they're programmed to ignore the negative amount of money or the terrible things that happen to them. Understand habit first. Understand or don't. I mean, honestly, whatever. Do your thing. All I'm saying is if you think the bad habit's bad, the first thing to do is to learn about it. That's what I did.
Whether you think anybody else knows about that bad habit or not, because one of my favorite things ever that I heard, and maybe you can help me remember where I heard it.
Okay.
But your thoughts are not secret. Your habits are not secret.
Oh, yeah.
The world sees them as if you're wearing it on your sleeve.
That's right.
And what that means is that your habits create the image that you show the world, really. If you try to eat healthy, if you work out on a regular basis, whatever, that's going to show, right? You're probably going to look healthy. You're probably going to look well.
For the most part, most people, that's what happens when they do those things.
Yep. When you attempt to take care of your health, that's probably going to show, right? In your behaviors with the outside world. But if you say, I really love nice clothes and I want to wear nice clothes I wear nice clothes, but you're never wearing those nice clothes, that habit shows. People see that, like, she's always talking about wearing nice clothes, but she's always in pajamas. That's
two habits, actually. One's lying and one's wearing, pajamas.
And this isn't forward thinking, right? From the outside world. They don't know that they're thinking that about you.
Yeah.
They just see you. Unfortunately, we judge people on sight.
I think it's fortunate.
That's what we do.
I think it's fortunate if the references you're using to judge them are sound. Mm-hmm. If they're learned or educated thinking. If you are using what Trump or Biden says to reference why you think something, you got it all wrong. I'm telling you right now, you got it all wrong. You're not.
That's the end of politics.
Yeah. But you're not using real education. Right. You're using something someone said or something that's being fed to you through some type of media. And listen,
all I'm saying is that we immediately judge on sight as human beings, whether you want to or not. Even if you say you don't, we do. Yeah. We just do. Subconsciously, we don't even know that we're doing it sometimes.
Sure.
And so we're going to see another person physically, and we're going to judge them based on how they look because their habits are what's speaking to us.
Yeah, immediately we're going to do that. Mm-hmm. And
so which habits do you want to display to the world?
Or what do you want to look like? How do you want to show up to the world? Because it's your habits that are going to build how you show up.
How do you want to show up for yourself when you look in the mirror?
Well, I think that's probably where it breaks down a lot, though. And that's where depression hits too. They talk about confidence, and I think the exact opposite of confidence is depression. Or at least the opposite of confidence causes depression. And confidence is about keeping commitments to yourself. And when you've got bad habits, your ability to keep commitments to yourself falls off the planet. So just having bad habits is not just, people don't believe you, people don't like you. All of these other things are happening. Your confidence is going to go out the door because you don't want to do this, but you continue to do it. So you're not confident. You don't trust yourself. How are you going to trust other people? It's absolutely a domino effect. And so but listen, I didn't know this. I educated myself on this. And I did this because all of these bad habits that I had were unbelievable, and they were hurting me, and they were hurting my family, and they were hurting. It was so bad. So Charles Duhigg is kind of a kingpin when it comes to habits. He's one of the very first books I've read, not the last. I've read many books on habits, and have watched a lot of information on it. But Duhigg had wrote a lot about habits, and one of the things that he talked about was the simplicity of a habit, which means the cue, the routine, and the reward. Something triggers the habit to happen, then the routine starts, which always guarantees a very specific reward. Okay? In gambling, believe it or not, it's not the money. It's the ding, 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 ding. I wish I could make the sound effect. I probably couldn't post. It is that sound that causes the reward, because that means you won. And every time that sound hits, all it's doing is training your brain. Train the brain, train the brain, train the brain. And then now you don't think about it. You just keep going until you hear that sound. And then when you hear that sound, it reinforces and you want to hear it again.
That's the classic tale of Pavlov's dogs, which I learned a lot more about recently, and it wasn't pretty, but the basic gist of that is that he would ring a bell to make dogs salivate, because every time he rang a bell, he'd give them food.
Yep, every time.
And then once, at some point he stopped giving them food, he'd still ring the bell, they'd still salivate.
Yeah.
But they weren't getting the food. So, but they're still there waiting for the food. They're still waiting for the reward. They're still expecting it because they heard the sound of the bell.
Yeah, the brain automatically causes them to salivate when they hear the bell, not when the guy shows them the food. So, right, he connected it to the bell. It's one of the reasons why clickers work, right, with the dogs.
Dog
right?
training, yeah.
So that's a lot about bad habits, and I want to start training you one way to start working on getting good habits. Now, remember, bad habits got to be replaced, because if you have a bad habit and just stopping that bad habit is not going to save your life.
Right.
Right.
There's going to be another habit to replace it, but what is that habit going to be?
It needs to, because
good or bad.
Yeah. See, what is it going to be? Another bad habit, or are you going to replace it with a good habit? No matter what, the law of the vacuum takes place here, because as soon as you stop a bad habit, a vacuum happens. Nature abhors a vacuum. It's going to suck in a new habit, a new automation, so that the brain could be working well. That all the brain cares about is eating and.
You're total sidetrack here.
I know, not really, because honestly, the brain, in my opinion, the brain is the dumbest organ in the body, period. It has one rule, and that's to stay alive. And it doesn't care how. Now, it does create the mind, and the mind is something that we believe is something that is just beyond, right? Mm-hmm. But when it comes to habits, literally the dumbest organ in the body, it just yes or no, is it going to give me what I want kind of thing. So you have to train it just like a dog, like it's an animal. Your brain is an animal. It's not, I don't know if it's an animal. Just train it like it's an animal. And in this case, you've got to replace it with a good habit, or something that's going to continue to get you a reward of some sort that's close to what you had. Mm-hmm. And so learning about all this stuff really gave me the tools to develop a plan on how to attack some of my bad habits. And I got to say, some of my bad habits I beat on my own. So, and I don't mean on my own. I had help, and I had friends
and books
and books, but I also had a powerful why. I had a powerful why. And it might be one of the first things you want to look into developing is why do you want to change this habit?
And that can be a really tough question to answer. It's
big time.
I'm surprised at how many times somebody asks me why I'm doing something, or why something, is important to me. And I'm like,
Right.
Okay, wait, no, I actually have to think about that for a minute.
Why is a challenging answer? Because we're looking for reasons, and reasons require references. We got to pull from references from our life, experience from our life, the way we see the world. We got to pull from all of those things. So it really taxes the brain. Mm-hmm. So that makes sense why it's a difficult question to answer. Yeah. And if you don't like being wrong, then there's that too, right? That adds on to it.
Why are you looking at me?
What are you talking about? Am I looking at you? So with habits now, we want to change a habit. We have to out with the old and with the new. And they did a study, and I don't know, I don't have the statistics on this, but it was most of the people that stopped doing a bad habit start it back up within 3 to 5 years. And it doesn't stick, unfortunately. Now, when society does a habit shift, it's a little bit different. It tends to stick because society is helping to reinforce the change. And a great example would be like smoking. Smoking is a great example. When I escaped smoking, I had looked up what was the percentage of the population that smoked cigarettes. And what did we think it was back then? Hold on, audience. What do you think it is? What do you think the percentage of people that smoke cigarettes?
Currently, right now.
What do you think it is? What do you think the percentage of people that smoke cigarettes is? Now, here's the thing. Non-smokers will make it a tiny, low percentage. Smokers will think it's an absolutely high percentage. Mm-hmm. Why do you think that is?
Well, at the time that I was a cigarette smoker, I thought it was a very high percentage because that was my environment. When I went out for a smoke break, there are other smokers out there.
Yep.
And those other smokers felt like it was everybody that was outside.
Yeah. In your world, it was literally the higher percentage. 75% of the people that she knew smoked because that's who we hung out with. We tend to hang out with the people whom we are comfortable with, mm-hmm. who we share habits with.
Mm-hmm. They say birds of a feather flock together, and it's true because you tend to migrate toward the people that are doing the same activities as you.
Yeah, I think they call
good
it,
or bad.
They call it familiarity, is what it is. Mm-hmm. You go to where you're familiar. And so smokers will think it's a high habit. Now, at that time I was a smoker, I thought it was around 45%. What did you think it was?
Yeah, I thought it was a really high number.
Yeah, 45%.
I probably thought it was more than that.
Back then, it was 15% of the population smoked cigarettes. 15%.
That was 8 years ago.
8 years ago. Do you think that blew our mind? Mm. Yes, it blew our mind. We were like, we're the bottom 15%. Well, that's the way I looked at it, okay? I looked at it that way. We're the bottom 15%. We're the late bloomers. We're not picking up what the world is putting down, right? And if you smoke today, no judgment, honestly. It's mm-hmm. I was there for 19 years, so I know what it's like to smoke, and I know what it's like to even like to smoke, right? Yeah. When I'm feeling like good about it. But the fact of the matter is, no matter what, I was destroying my body. And after you figure out what that percentage is, I think today, don't quote me on this. Somebody's going to look it up. I know you're going to look it up. I think it's like 7%.
Yeah, but is that because vaping has taken its place, or is it like even with vaping, it's still a low,
Couldn't tell you.
I don't know.
Not my problem anymore, right? But what the point is that it's gone down because society is reinforcing this change. Mm-hmm. When society reinforces a change, it's a lot easier to develop or redevelop a bad habit that you've got.
Yeah, retail stores stopped carrying, not all of them, but a lot of retail stores just stopped carrying cigarettes.
Yeah,
like
right.
Walmart, Walgreens.
Walmart doesn't
CVS.
do cigarettes anymore?
I don't think so.
See,
they don't even have an aisle anymore. It's all self-checkout. where are you going to get them?
Honestly, I have no idea, but I think Walmart does still sell cigarettes, but I have no idea.
Maybe in some areas, but
I don't know.
They don't have any cashiers ever.
This is going to turn into a Walmart thing here in a minute.
No, I'm just saying but you were saying that society is reinforcing the idea of not smoking. And I think that some of these bigger corporations that were suddenly like, okay, we're just not even going to offer the products anymore. Now all of a sudden you had to go someplace else to get them. Yeah. And I think that is that reinforcement that you were.
That social reinforcement. Yeah. And the other thing, so now I want to get into how to destroy a bad habit, okay? Forever and ever and ever.
And then I'll tell you my way to do it.
Yeah, actually, you tell me yours first.
No, because it'll spoil yours.
Oh, no.
Well,
go ahead.
I was just competitive. You told me that you were going to stop smoking.
Yeah.
And you and I had both been smokers for such a long time that I just did not believe it. It was our environment.
Yeah.
And I didn't believe you were going to do it. And I wanted you to, because I really wanted to too, but I wasn't going to do it by myself. And you were putting in a lot of hard work to prepare yourself. And yes, I was not.
I remember that.
I just knew that if you stopped smoking, I was going to do it just to be competitive.
There you go.
And I did.
And it could be also that you invite me to lead the family. You invite me to lead sometimes, right?
Absolutely.
And so that's a relationship dynamic that we have, is that she invites me to lead and I accept and I do lead our family. We talk to each other. You guys understand?
Right.
Like we talk to each other all the time about everything.
Yeah, this is not derogatory. Every relationship has its dynamic, and
Yeah.
we have one that works for us.
Yes.
I am, like I've said previously in episodes, I'm the backbone. I'm the one that keeps everything running smoothly and keeps it all together. And we need both of these roles for us to stay successful in our world.
I'm the Hulk, and she is
Who am I?
The Scarlett Johansson. Oh my gosh, I can't remember her name. Oh my gosh. All you Marvel
Nadia?
fans out there, don't judge me.
Wait.
Natalia.
Oh my gosh. Natalia?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, Romanoff. Black Widow.
Why am I drawing a blank
Black
too?
Widow.
Good
Anyways,
Lord.
so the Black Widow walks up to the Hulk and says, "The sun's going down, big guy." That's Shey to me, right? Anytime something gets off hand, she's honestly my support. She's the only one that can actually handle the what I've been through.
And both roles are vital. In
Very
my
much
opinion,
so. Yeah.
for us.
So let's give you some practical advice on how to crush a habit, okay? So being competitive is fine, but unfortunately, that way is going to take a lot of willpower, right? Because, and the way that I did it is, and the reason why I'm able to say today that it was easy is because I crushed the willpower element of it. I gave myself instant inertia. And how I did that was I prepared and I learned a lesson on how to rebuild my subconscious. Now you got first things first, for all those non-believers out there that if you believe your subconscious cannot be tapped into and changed, turn this off, ignore what I'm about to say. Okay. But the fact of the matter is,
listen more.
yeah, maybe the fact of the matter is that I actually achieved this, and many people look at it as magical, as like literally magic. And it's not, it's just something that you can do. Every single day for almost every single day for like 3 months, 3 to 6 months. It wasn't
Wasn't
a
a
year.
year?
No.
You read a few books and
Yeah. So no, but every single day for about 3 to 6 months, I don't remember the exact length of time, but every single day I would write down on the side of my little notebook, I had a little black notebook. And on the left side, I would write my goals. And on the right side, I would write an affirmation over and over and over and over and over again. And typically that affirmation was an I am statement, meaning that I am something. Okay. Now, when I put it on the right side, I typically put an I am that I am not currently. That way, I'm trying to train my subconscious and the reticular activating system, which we'll get into later about other things. But I'm trying to train that, like the law of attraction. I'm trying to train my mind to only see opportunities to make that affirmation a reality. Mm-hmm. So if I write that over and over and over again.
So for 3 to 6 months, what were you writing?
I was writing down, I am a non-smoker. I am a non-smoker. I wrote that over and over again. I was shifting my identity. And I did that. And then on the day that I stopped smoking, basically what it did is it unwashed my brain from all of the media and what your friends tell you about smoking. Oh man, that's hard. That's hard. That's really hard. No, it's not. It's what everyone tells you is hard. And vocabulary means something too. You know, we didn't say we quit. Quit indicates that you're sacrificing something. Okay. Don't say you quit something. You know, when you were younger and you quit something, it's because you gave up. It's like, well, there's a line, there's like a sarcastic line. I'm not quitting smoking. I'm no quitter. I'm no quitter. Mm-hmm. Right. And it's funny. However, it actually causes people not to stop. Mm-hmm. And so we use the word escape because it truthfully is a trap. And same with gambling, same with drugs. It all is a trap to trap you. And so you have to figure out a way to escape. And I just gave you a huge secret. Secret.
And in my case, I had 3 things going for me. I didn't want to be smoking anymore. And I learned a very interesting fact about quitting, escaping. And I was being super competitive with you because I wanted to prove that if you could do it, I could do it too, whether I had prepared or not. But the one thing that I had learned, and I think that you had shared it with me from one of the books you read, and then I kind of looked it up for myself, is the actual chemicals are only in your body for like 48 hours?
Yeah, like 2 days, literally 2 days.
That's it.
Yep.
And so basically it brought to light that if after 48 hours, I was still using the excuse of withdrawals, that it was really up here.
That's correct.
And you and I had already been working on trying to retrain our brains so that we had the upper hand.
Yeah.
So that it wasn't, that habit of, I really want a cigarette. I gotta have one,
Yeah.
It wasn't, because that chemical was no longer even in my body. And now I just have to keep telling myself I'm done.
You're a non-smoker.
Yeah.
And remember, the reason why I did that is because I shifted my identity, right? So now that I have a new identity, I am a non-smoker. Of course I don't smoke. Mm-hmm. Of course I don't smoke.
Yeah. And it's been long enough now too, that even thinking that I used to be a smoker is so foreign.
It's so foreign. Yeah. It's 100%. There's no way.
Yeah. Never looked back. Thank you, by the way, for leading that, because that was probably one of the best decisions we've ever made.
Oh my gosh. And there's way more than that too. So now today I use affirmations to build a better me. Once I discovered that was a reality, that I could literally control my subconscious over time, it started to change who I am. Okay. And each time you writing it down that's not going to solve the problem. Mm-hmm. You have to believe it every time you write it down. You absolutely have to believe it every time you write it down. And listen, if you do this and it doesn't work, don't come blaming me about this. Okay. This is just a suggestion. And I've done this not just to destroy bad habits, but I've also done this to create amazing habits in my life. Mm-hmm. And today my habits are off the hook.
And it's taken years to get to this point, right? It wasn't that we just started it last week and here we are. It's so easy. It really has been a journey.
Yeah.
It's been challenging.
I'm a 20-year overnight success.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been a challenge over the years. We have fallen flat on our faces many times over. So, but you just keep at it.
Keep at it. That's right.
Keep at it. Find that support system who's going to help to encourage you to keep at it.
Yeah. I've got so much more I want to say on habits. Just do me a favor. Believe in yourself. Okay. Believe that it's okay to have a new identity. Your identity does not have to be you. You don't have to be the town drunk. You don't have to be the town anything. You can change any identity that you want. It doesn't matter. You just have to do it. Okay? That's the end of our episode today. You've been watching the Gabe and Shey show, Gabe and Shey podcast. Episode 6.
Oh my gosh.
I know, right? We're crushing it. The next episode is going to be about how we see the world. How we see the world. So we're going to talk about perception next week. So thank you all for joining us. And listen, if you've got a bad habit that you've crushed, or you've got a bad habit that you've got now, or just, want to share your thoughts on this, please do so in the comments. And also like and subscribe and share with your friends if you think this might be useful for them. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you later.
Have a great day. Thank you.